Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. Coming to you after many of you just saw the Celtics punch their ticket to the Eastern Conference Finals. We're going to be talking about the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals on a Monday show or a Tuesday show right before those series get started. But today, I want to switch gears just a tad bit and talk a little bit about the NBA Draft Lottery. That's happening on Tuesday. So we want to give that a little bit of a preview, talk about which teams kind of need to get that lottery pick, that first overall pick a little bit more, and how we think it's going to shake out. I've been David Huppin right there as Mr. TJ Hopkins, and if you're looking for consistent content on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or on Twitch, Prime Sports World, pretty good place to hang out. We go live 5 or 6 times a week, bringing you the most up-to-date content. You can find us on YouTube at Prime Sports World on YouTube, same thing on Twitch, same thing on Facebook. Also, we are PSW_David on the Twitter. TJ, how you doing, man? We were just talking kind of off air before we got started here.
Yes, sir.
That game 7 from Milwaukee is probably going to leave a sour taste in the Bucks' mouth. Going into next season.
Yeah, it's also how they lost. That's kind of like I feel like if this was a one possession game, you lose by 3, you lose by 5. Well, no. 2 possession game, yeah, because you lose by single digits, you lose by 3, you lose by 5. You shake hands, go to the middle of the court. Hey, good luck in the next round. You got your ass kicked.
Yeah,
thoroughly. Like I get it. Like Boston shot like 50 something, like 53, 54 threes. They made 20, 21 of them.
I mean, Grant Williams led the Boston Celtics in scoring. It's the first time he ever led the Boston Celtics in scoring at any point this season or last season. So.
That's just.
It's bad luck. I mean, Peyton Pritchard went bananas. He had a bunch of threes in this game too. Boston just shot the ball better than Milwaukee did. It's just the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, and considering here's something else to consider. That was Boston's first home. Not their first home win, but
back-to-back win. First game. Any time in this series, a team has won back-to-back games in this series.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, they had traded off victories every single game this series. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about the NBA Draft Lottery because we know they got the future of the NBA. We got the current NBA stuff going on. Let's take a look at the future of the NBA. Right there on the screen is kind of the draft odds when it comes to. So the lottery is on Tuesday, May 17th at 7 p.m. Central Time. Magic, Pistons, and Rockets all have the same odds of getting the first overall pick. The Lakers and the Clippers, I know, are on the list, but neither of them own their first-round pick this season because of the Paul George trade and the Anthony Davis trade. So you got to look at the odds right there. Houston, Detroit, all 14% to get the first overall pick. Oklahoma City at 12%, 10% for Indiana. Portland 9%, Sacramento 7%. New Orleans Pelicans 6%, San Antonio 4%, Washington 3%, New York 2%. Oklahoma City, I believe, owns that Clipper kit because it's 1.5. Charlotte and Cleveland with the second worst odds to get the first overall pick. And then, you can see the graphic. You can take a look at it. But who do you think is more important for that gets this first overall pick? And this is not a season where there's a Zion in this draft. There's not a LeBron in this draft. There's some good players, but it's not. I don't think there's a that caliber player in this draft.
Well, I think that's the trend, and that's been the trend in the last 2 drafts. Actually, the Anthony Edwards, there was no clear cut number 1 in that draft.
Yeah, that's true.
There was no clear cut number 1 last year. Folks can say Cade Cunningham, but if a Evan Mobley went first overall, I don't think anybody would have hated that either. And yeah, and this draft, there's no clear cut number 1. I've seen 10 different mock drafts with 10 different number 1 overall picks.
Yeah, and so I mean, if the first overall pick isn't exactly as valuable as it was maybe in that Zion year or like a LeBron year, because if you're gonna there's some really good players. Look at last year's draft. There was some really good players in that draft from top to bottom.
I've seen a mock with Jabari Smith going first. I've seen one with Chet Holmgren going first. I've seen one with Banchero from Duke going first overall. There is no clear-cut number 1. To answer your question, which team needs it more? I would have to go with. I think it's a tie between Houston and Orlando because I mean, well, more so Orlando than Houston because Orlando, they, like you could tell, like they are budding, right? Like you get Jonathan Isaacs back. Hopefully, I mean, like it's gonna take a while for him to go back to being the player that he was prior to the ACL tear.
Yeah, no doubt.
But you like you're if I'm Orlando, like I need like I need improvement, right? Like you're there, like you're right there, right? And by right there, I mean like obviously you're not
I
gonna
mean,
go from
even Detroit too. I mean, even Detroit. You know, you got Cade Cunningham. I mean, Marvin Bagley showed some stuff towards the end of the season. You got a Jeremy Grant trade that you could get some young pieces for. Like all three of these teams, if they end up with the first overall pick, I mean, could do some valuable stuff with it.
it's just a matter of if you're these teams, what do you get, right? Who fits it? Like it's a matter of who fits what you need. So if I'm Orlando, I don't go Chet Holmgren or Jabari Smith. Why? I have Mo Bamba. I have Wendell Carter. Right? I don't need to go big. If I'm Houston,
And you got Wendell Carter on a pretty team friendly contract.
exactly. So if I'm Detroit, right? Those those names I just listed, like they make more sense because Isaiah Stewart's nice, but he's not. He's 6'8", like he's 6'7", playing center. Right? You traded for what's his name? Marvin Bagley.
Yep.
So like you legit need you need that Jabari Smith or Chet Holm. Like you need that in Detroit. Right? You don't need no more guards
No, not at all. I mean, you
in
got
Detroit. You don't need no guards, no wings in Detroit, right? Like you need bigs. Same thing with Houston, right? Shagun, nice talent. Shagun has all the promise in the world, right? Like if I'm Houston, if I get that number one overall pick and I'm Houston, Paolo Banchero is probably the name I call if I'm Houston.
I totally agree with you on that. He gives you something you'd already have on that roster. I mean, he would be a perfect fit on that team. I mean, if I was any of these, I think Banchero is the best player in this draft. Um, but I think when we come to the team that I think needs to win this lottery the most, it's probably Sacramento. With how poorly, like I'm just being, with how poorly they've ran their organization over the last, basically since the last time they made the playoffs. Like this is a team that needs kind of a bone, if it were, like if they were able to get the first overall pick, or Portland was able to get the first overall pick. I think those teams are teams that really, Indiana too. You know, I do like some of what Indiana pieces like they have there, but like if they were able to get the first overall pick, those three teams that are outside of that top four. Because I mean, Oklahoma City, they got a million draft picks; they're going to be fine. But Indiana, I mean, this is a team that needs, like, you know, you got Tyrese Halliburton, you have Miles Turner, you have the kid from Oregon that was pretty good last season. You kind of need to figure out the rest of this roster.
And yeah, and if I'm Oklahoma City, like yeah, I'm still looking to like not only unload picks, but I'm probably gonna unload two players depending on how my season goes, right? Like if we're scraping the bottom of the barrel again, I'm and if I'm Sam Presti, I'm gonna start fielding calls for SGA. I'm gonna start fielding calls for Lou Dort. There are contenders out there that can use those two dudes.
I think Lou Dort might be a free agent.
Okay, well we'll come back to that. But SGA, like you cannot want to trade SGA all you want, but there's no point in just holding him. And if you're not gonna be
even remotely competitive,
right.
for like a couple seasons, like yeah,
Like
if you
what good is him averaging 24, 25, 26 a game on a bad team? Like that's pointless. But I would like the one thing that the Zion draft kind of did was it it all but eliminated tanking because New Orleans didn't tank; they were just bad.
I
Right?
mean, they also had some very good luck. I think their odds were extremely low during that draft to actually get the
That,
first overall pick.
so we've already seen right, and we've seen in the past like just because you have the worst record does not indicate that you're gonna get the first overall pick. Like the Knicks had a worse record than the three teams that went before them. They ended up going fourth.
Yeah, I mean the season that Zion Williamson ended up being the pick. This is 2019. The Pelicans had only a 6% chance of getting the first overall pick. They had worse odds than New York, Cleveland, the Suns, the Bulls, the Hawks, Wizards. Like they like more most of the time. Like when the Bulls, like when they got their first overall pick and got Derrick Rose. I mean, they had pretty basically.
It was like 0.01% of a chance to get the first overall pick, and they got it.
So I mean, I do like the new lottery system. I think it has de-incentivized taking, like de-incentivize it, because even because your team stinks, like you have the worst team in the NBA, does not guarantee you the first overall pick. It just doesn't anymore.
No, and again, like there is, we said like there's no clear cut number one overall pick in this draft. There's no, like I said, like there's no Zion, there's no LeBron, there's no, like there isn't that caliber of player. Now somebody could turn into that. Right, like somebody could turn into that, but that also depends on where you go to.
Yep.
All right. So if I'm Houston, and if I'm Houston, like just going off right here, let's just say this is the draft lottery, right? This order right here. This is how you got it set up. That's how it go. Houston, Orlando, Detroit, on and so forth, right? If I'm Houston, I'm not even using the whole time that they give to make the pick. Paolo Banchero got drafted that day. Tuesday, May 17th at 7 o'clock. If Houston gets the number one, Paolo Banchero is going to Houston. They might as well just fly him in right now. Hey, bro, this the best neighborhood to live in. You're gonna live right here. I'm so serious. I am like 100% serious. Because if I'm Orlando, I don't need Paolo Banchero. I got Jonathan Isaacs. I got what's his name? Jalen Suggs can play the wing. I still got Terrence Ross. He can play the wing.
I mean, Terrence Ross, I think, is a free agent too, but he doesn't need to here nor there.
Not here nor there. So, who else they got?
I mean, they got all those other guards that came over in the Denver Nuggets trade when they traded away Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, they got RJ
Hampton, who barely plays, and then they got Cole Anthony, who's a good player. They also have Gary Clark.
Gary
Harris is still on that roster. I don't think he played at all this season.
Well, Cole Anthony is that's PG1, right? He's like your starting point. That's PG1. So
for now, they also have Wagner, Franz Wagner, who was extremely good this season. Had a really good.
Hey, real talk. Like they could really come out. They could come out really big. Come this next season. So like you start, what's his name? You start Cole at the 1. You bring Franz Wagner back at the 2. You slowly work Jonathan Isaacs back. He can be your 3. And then you got Wendell Carter at 4 and Bamba at the 5. Because Wendell Carter, his natural position is a power forward.
Great.
He's 6'9". Like Wendell Carter, like all those years on the Bulls, they had him playing at the center. No wonder he got his ass kicked year in and year out. He's undersized.
And he's on one of the best contracts in the league.
Absolutely. And okay, so that's Orlando. So if I'm Orlando, I go
Chet Holmgren, I guess. I mean, I don't. It just gives you something you don't already have on that roster. Even though Mo Bamba can't stretch the floor and hit the 3,
it's not. Well, he has to get better at that. I wouldn't be like I
would even hate the Jaden Ivey going here.
Right, that's what I was thinking. But, so if I'm Orlando,
but they have a million guards on their roster. I mean, I don't really know if that's the. I don't know. That's tough. That's interesting. Chet Holmgren also gives them something they don't already have on this roster. And Jabari Smith, we don't really know what Jonathan Isaac is going to be like when he comes back, because he's missed so much time.
That's true, but we also
Markelle Fultz is still on this team too.
But you also just said that like dudes like Gary Harris and Terrence Ross. Well, for a fact, Terrence Ross might be a free agent. Gary Harris also
might be one. He might be one too.
He might be one too. So if anything, it's a depth move. If Jaden Ivey was to go there, I can also see your point. Them going Chet Holmgren or Jabari Smith, especially if they don't feel like
So they're gonna have to extend. They're gonna have to extend Mo Bamba this offseason. So I don't know what his value is going to be, but
that's a prove-it deal. That is 100% a prove-it deal. Like,
so he's a free. Terrence Ross has 1 more year on his deal at $11 million. Gary Harris is for sure a free agent.
All right, so the whole Mo Bamba thing, like that's a prove-it deal. I go to him like, dude, like you rode the bench for us for like 3 years before you even got this opportunity. I don't know what you think your value is, but it's not what you think it is. So you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to go, like, you're gonna accept this qualifying offer. You don't have to like it, but you're gonna accept it
Well,
because
he doesn't even have they didn't pick up his player option, so like they're gonna have to. I think he might be an unrestricted free agent.
so I don't. To your point, I don't even know what like. I think Mobile was actually. I think he's a solid. I think he has potential to be a solid player. They just wasn't. They just weren't gonna play him over Vucevic and Aaron Gordon. They just weren't gonna do that. And when they had Jonathan Isaacs, a healthy Jonathan Isaacs, like, yeah, you're not gonna play over any of those dudes. It's just not happening.
He's gonna be a restricted free agent. I apologize,
So
but
so for those that forget or don't know, a restricted free agent, that means if you're a free agent, if a team that you're not on, if they offer you a contract, your team has the opportunity to match that contract.
yep.
And if they don't match it, then you can go to the team that offered you the contract.
I mean, that's exactly what happened with Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine signed that offer sheet with Sacramento. The Bulls matched it,
The Bulls matched it,
so we got
and
to
they
keep
brought,
him.
and so exactly.
It's
Detroit,
probably what's going to happen with DeAndre Ayton, like whenever that situation works itself out.
absolutely, he is not.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. Who knows? To the Detroit Pistons, they got Corey Joseph, who's on the back end of his career, got a little bit there. Cade Cunningham, Sadiq Bey, who had a really good season this year. Jeremy Grant,
Saban Lee.
Jeremy Grant, who probably will get traded this offseason at some point. Because they're going to have to either extend him or trade him this offseason. I just don't imagine they're going to extend him. He's been very good for them. They got Saban Lee. They got Killian Hayes, who's been kind of I hate to throw the word bust around. A guy who's only been in his second year of the NBA, but he's been very underwhelming. That's probably the better term for it. They still got Rodney McGruder. They got Marvin Bagley III, who they're probably going to have to give. He's going to be a restricted free agent as well. Marvin Bagley, and they got Kelly Olynyk on this team as well.
Didn't Killian Hayes tear an ACL? Didn't that happen to him?
No, he had a back injury or something last season.
You sure it wasn't an ACL?
I'm not 100% sure. I know he came back last season, so I don't think it was a. Hold on one second. Yeah, he tore a labrum tear in his hip. Well, yeah, not an ACL tear.
That's probably.
This is last year. This is last season, though. Oh no.
Yeah,
this is 3 months ago.
yeah, that's probably worse. A labrum tear in the
Yeah.
hip. That's worse than an ACL. Like that's way worse.
And then it's 2 years ago he had that injury. He came back and played a little bit last season after he came back from it. So,
but he clearly wasn't. Nah, he clearly wasn't 100% himself. If I'm Detroit, if Chet Holmgren and Jabari Smith are on the board, and by the way that at least my logic, by the way it's set up, one of those two dudes is on the board at 3. You can't go wrong with either one. I think those two dudes go 3-4. Jabari Smith at 3, Chet Holmgren at 4, or the other way around. And
Jabari Smith makes so much sense in Oklahoma City. Like I actually think Chet Holmgren should be the pick for the Detroit Pistons, and then Jabari Smith would follow the Oklahoma City Thunder at 4. And then Indiana, you get whatever you're working through the board here. But I actually think that I like those 3 teams after those first 4. I think it's the most important for those teams to win this lottery. Like, if I was Indiana, I would find even if I had to trade into the top 3 to get one of those top 4 players.
So interesting scenario. All right, you said trade into the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
We have 3 teams: Indiana, Portland, Sacramento, who could, if they wanted to, they could do that.
Yeah,
right.
They have some assets they could use to move up a couple picks in this draft.
So that's my question. If you're Indiana and you want to get to number 3, let's just say they want to get to 3, what do you call Detroit and say, hey, I want your 3rd overall pick. What do you want? And if you're Detroit, what do you want? Because like Tyrese Halliburton, to me, that he's untouchable. No.
He should have been untouchable. He should have been untouchable when he was in Sacramento.
So like, what
are you there?
And if I'm Indiana, Miles Turner is probably also untouchable.
Well, if I'm only moving up, again, it really depends on how the lottery shakes out. If I'm moving up 1 pick, I'm just
saying, like hypothetically, right now, like how this is the draft order.
I'll give you. I'll give you Buddy Hield and Malcolm Brogdon, and you let me move up one spot
to number 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to turn that down.
Yeah, I mean, or just Buddy Hield. I mean, Malcolm Brogdon just signed an extension, so he's locked up. Buddy Hield is on a semi-expiring. But yeah, if I'm Indiana, I think, because we're looking at like the top 4 players in this draft. The drop off between Jaden Ivey and Keegan Murray, who's on this big board that I'm looking at from Sporting News. That drop off I think is substantial. Like I think the 4 guys like Jaden Ivey, Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, and Paulo Panchero, like there's a certain tier to those 4 guys.
Okay, and I disagree with you. I think the drop off between Jaden Ivey and Keegan Murray isn't that precipitous. Right? Keegan Murray was a Warden Award nominee player too.
Yeah, I know. I just think that his skill set doesn't translate as smoothly to the NBA because he's kind of a tweener. He is he a power forward? Is he a small forward? I mean, where is he going to what is his position going to be in the NBA?
Well, that's the thing about the NBA now. Like we are smack dead in the middle of the era of positionless basketball where you have guys who can play 1 through 4 really. Like Franz Wagner on the Magic can literally play 4 positions.
Yeah.
If they wanted him to.
Right? I'm not disagreeing with you there. I just think that like those tweener guys seem to struggle in the NBA. That's just the way it's been. Like those guys that are kind of like hybrid power forwards, small forwards, their ability to pick up the NBA game, like there's Josh Jacksons of the world, the verdict's still out on the Cam Reddishes of the world, or the guys like the kid that was drafted out of Texas Tech a few years ago. They got traded.
Culver.
Yeah, Jared Culver. Like he's already on his second team. Those tweener guys that are kind of like power forward, small forward hybrids, they tend to struggle in the NBA.
I also kind of feel like it's where you go. Like Jared Culver went to a Minnesota team that at the time they weren't properly ran. They didn't know what to do with him because they had like 3 or 4 other players that did the same thing that he did.
I mean, but there are obviously outliers. Like all the dudes that the Minnesota drafted this season all worked out pretty well. I think Zaire Williams, the guy who went to Memphis, he's kind of a tweener, played pretty well this season. But this draft class is going to go down as one of those draft classes when we look back, and we talked about this with the rookie class. This is going to become an all-time draft class in my opinion.
Let me ask you this.
Last year.
Let me ask you, could Damian Lillard or De'Aaron Fox both be draft day deals?
I guess maybe. I mean, I guess it depends on where Damian Lillard would have to tell them that he wants to get traded. I know that they've been dangling that extension kind of around, like that $50 million extension. Has been kind of hanging around that Damian Lillard they haven't really. I don't think they formally offered it to him, but they also haven't. He hasn't said he's going to sign it. If Damian Lillard decides he wants to get traded, I think they'll trade him. I think until Damian Lillard decides he wants to be traded, they're going to keep him and they're going to continue to retool this roster for the foreseeable future.
Retool the roster. So they
have a ton of cap space. I mean, the Zach LaVine thing, I think that's a legit rumor. Like I think Zach LaVine. I think the writing's on the wall. I think Zach LaVine might be leaving Chicago.
We'll get to that when we do like a free agency.
Yeah.
Which I think is, I mean, like, if you're AK, you can't let that happen. Now you said what 2 teams don't own the Lakers and who?
The Lakers and Clippers.
They don't own their first round picks. Okay.
Correct.
So I think I tried to say like it was New Orleans who got the Lakers pick. Was I wrong on that?
Yeah, that Lakers pick is going to go to New Orleans unless it falls outside the top 10, and then if it falls outside the top 10, it goes to Memphis as part of that Zaire Williams swap from last season.
Okay, so New Orleans or Memphis could get that first round pick.
Correct.
All right, so Memphis could have 3 picks in the first round. That pick 22 and 29.
Yeah, if this falls outside the top 10.
Damn. So because on the 29th pick, that's their pick. Like that is their pick. Like that's their own pick. So I think, are they gonna have 2 or 3? Is it just this and their own, or are they gonna have 3 picks?
Well, the odds of this falling outside of the top 10 are pretty low, but They have the rights to New Orleans pick if it falls outside the top 10. This Laker pick.
Okay. So, like, hypothetical, let's just say it goes to New Orleans, right? Falls outside the top 10. No, if it stays in the top 10, it's New Orleans.
Correct.
All right, so let's just say it's like the Lakers get 9. All right, that's New Orleans pick. What do you do what direction do you go if you're New Orleans?
Well, I think their starting lineup is pretty solid. I would look to just add depth. If I'm New Orleans, I'm probably just taking the best player available. I still think they could use a legit point guard. I know they have, CJ McCollum there, but he's not really. He's more of an off combo guard.
He's an off guard.
Yeah, he's more of an off combo guard.
If so, like you said, that starting lineup is solid. It would be McCollum, Bi, Zion if he comes back. What's his name? Valanciunas.
Yeah.
Who's that other guard?
It's right. I mean, Devontae Graham comes off their bench. It's the kid they just drafted. Herbert Jones. Herbert Jones is the guy that starts. Or Trey Murphy, one of those guys. Jose Alvarado.
Well, I wouldn't start.
So what they do right now is they have CJ McCollum start at the point guard, Brandon Ingram shooting guard, Herbert Jones is their small forward, Zion power forward, and then Jonas Valanciunas at center. They could. They could shore up that backcourt or the front court, like get somebody to run with CJ McCollum, move Brandon Ingram to that small forward position, and kind of have Herbert Jones come off your bench as your 3D and wing.
So, they could have a bench lineup with Alvarado, Graham, Trey Murphy, Herbert Jones, and
Jackson Hayes.
Or
Larry Nance Jr. as well, who's still on this team too.
Larry Nance Jr. is still cannot forget that.
The kid from the G League, Jaden Hardy, makes some sense. It'd kind of be a reach if they were inside the top 10. Johnny Davis, the kid from Wisconsin, who can really score, really took a leap in his second season in the Big Ten. There's lots. They could take the other kid from the G League Ignite, the Dyson Daniels guy. He's ranked as number 6 prospect by the Sporting News' website that I'm currently looking at.
So, let me ask you this. All right, so the lottery is what, 14 teams? 15 teams. 14.
15.
So half.
Yeah.
If you were to guess, give a guess on what player is currently not a lottery projection that could sneak his way into the lottery projection, who would it be?
Ty Washington. He's right now the 15th ranked prospect, I guess, which has been his fringe, lottery. But he has he's 6'3", 185, one of those Kentucky guards that kind of usually trends up and during the draft day process. Let's see who else. I'll go Ty Washington.
Okay, I don't hate that. I'm gonna go.
Patrick Baldwin could be another guy too, but
I can see that. I'm gonna go Malachi Branham. I think he was another combo dude, shooting guard / small forward, out of Ohio State. I think he's 18 years. He's a true freshman, 18 years old.
Yeah, freshman, 6'5", 180.
Yeah, I think he could sneak his way into the lottery. Right now, he's projected to go 26th to Dallas, and I it's kind of hard for me to see his fit unless Dallas loses out on what's his name.
That Jalen Ray's gone for sure. I can't imagine a scenario where they can afford to keep him.
Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
Well, they offered him they already offered him a They offered him a deal. He turned it down, and because I kind of feel like him. I feel like him and his camp were kind of quote unquote offended at the deal they offered him.
Well, Dallas has mucked up that whole situation. He should be a restricted free agent. He's not because of something that happened. I can't remember exactly what the scenario was, but yeah, it's a messy situation. The other guy is Patrick Baldwin Jr. He went to play with Milwaukee, head coached by his dad. Yeah. He was when the early mock drafts, pre-college basketball season, Patrick Baldwin Jr. was in the top 10, all of those mock drafts. He's the 31st rated prospect on this website now.
And I think he and it's unfair to him because he lost some luster because of his decision to play at
And Milwaukee.
UW Milwaukee. Like he wanted to play with his, like he wanted to be coached by his dad, and I think that makes zero sense to me. Like when he was a transfer kid, right?
No, he's a freshman. He came out of high school and was like, yeah, I
Oh
want to
yeah,
go.
yeah. He played and play with his dad. So like yeah, oh yeah, I remember that he's like one of the top recruits
Yeah. Yep.
in and he was like he was like top 5 or top 10 recruit in the country, and yeah, I'm gonna go to the UW Milwaukee. I'm gonna play for my dad, and like his draft stock just went all the way down, and I just think that's terrible, right? Like
It's so unfair. I mean, he's got all the intangibles to be an elite basketball player.
like it makes no sense to me because you already know what I say, right? Like if you got talent, they'll find you, and no matter what level you play at, you still got to put in the work to be good. And he's good enough to get drafted. So I actually like that pick for him to like be a sneaky lottery pick, like top. I can see him going anywhere from hypothetical. Like again, this is like let's just say this is how the board plays out. This is the lottery. If he goes to a team like the Clippers, him being Patrick Baldwin, like
Yeah.
that would be.
Yeah. That would be nice. It would be super nice. I mean, but yeah, the Clippers don't have a first round pick in this draft, so they unless he falls into the second round. This is also a really important draft for Charlotte. You continue to add depth to this team. It's also a really important draft for San Antonio. Like they kind of need to make a decision here.
If I'm shocked, the dude, they got some decisions to make. You got Lonnie Walker.
Mm-hmm.
What's his
Josh
name?
Primo.
Vasil.
Yeah. The other kid, the kid that I picked to win Most Improved Player of the Year, Cam Johnson. Is that no Cam? Keldon Johnson. Keldon Johnson. Thank you.
So like the only surefire, and DeJounte Murray is recruiting Zach LaVine to come down there because all those Seattle dudes, they stick together. I love to see it. I love it. I like, and they all know each other. Like they all watched each other, and like so Zach LaVine has known DeJounte Murray since his high school days, and Isaiah Thomas has known both of them since their high school days. And Jamal Crawford knows them all.
Yeah, we'd love to see it.
Like Jamal Crawford then had each and every one of them playing his Seattle Pro-Am and like all that other good stuff. So yeah, San Antonio definitely has some like the only one I'm sure on that's not going anywhere is DeJounte Murray. That's the only one I know I can hitch my horse to, and I'm gonna get consistent play night in, night out. Lonnie Walker, make a break season. Vasil, you can hardly get on the court, bruh.
It's true. It's true. So yeah, the decisions that come here with the NBA draft lottery. I think whoever gets the first overall pick, they're going to have some interesting decisions to make when it comes to trading back and maybe picking up more future assets.
One thing we didn't talk about, and it's another nail or domino that needs to fall. What the hell do you do with Bradley Beal?
Well, he's gonna probably decline his player option. And probably, he's eligible for the Supermax contract, but if you're Washington, do you want to sign him to that Supermax contract?
Well, it's not even Washington, like, right? Like, what team wants to be stuck with a dude who plays 30% of the time?
Well, I mean, I wonder how much that has to do with the fact that he plays on the Wizards. I mean,
hey, but like, you remember when, again, first like 10 games of the season, they were like 8-2.
But yeah,
and everybody's like, "Can Washington keep this up?" I'm like, "No, they can't.
No, they can't. For sure, they can't." But I think Bradley Beal ends up becoming a signing trade. I think Washington's kind of their hands kind of like either they let him leave for nothing or sign him to the Supermax and then try to trade him either right after they sign it or somewhere in the offseason or like before the deadline.
That's a hefty axe, man. Like that is.
I know, but they don't have a choice. Like if you're gonna let him walk for literally nothing, you have to get some sort of assets for something that's they could have traded him during the. I know he went down right before the trade deadline this year, but
well, and he did a self-imposed shutdown, because he was playing through a wrist injury that needed surgery, and he kept playing on it and kept playing on it to the point where it's like, you know what. we're like completely out of this thing, I'm just gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna get my surgery, and I'm just gonna, yeah, meh.
But yeah, we'll get into that when we do a whole offseason preview. Yeah. So, but this show, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the draft lottery, kind of a little bit about the odds and which teams was it more important for that actually wins this draft lottery. I'm going to go out and say I think it's most important for Indiana to win this draft lottery, or Actually, I'm going to go Sacramento. I think of all the teams that are in the lottery, I look at all the situations. Sacramento needs to win this draft lottery the most.
Okay, I think I started off this thing by saying Houston. I'm gonna switch I'm gonna say Indiana. Houston's rebuilding. We know that. Just continue to build and add to the pieces that you got there, because you got some solid pieces already.
Yeah.
What's his name? Dude from the guard.
Chris Duarte, kid from Oregon.
No, I'm talking about Houston. Like they don't.
Oh, Houston. I mean, Jalen Green. They got Jalen Green. They got
Shagun.
Kevin Porter Jr. They got Sagoon. They got a bunch of really young, good players. They got Christian Wood, who's probably going to need a new deal, or to get trade him somewhere. Kenny Martin, who had a good season this year.
So yeah. If I'm Indiana, I got Chris Duarte. I got Tyrese Halliburton. If I'm Indiana, I 100% I need a small forward. So if Indiana somehow gets the number 1 overall pick, Paolo Banchero, pack your bags. You're going to Nap City.
Yeah, I mean, imagine how great that'd be to have Halliburton, Turner, and Banchero as your each of your cornerstone pieces to build on in the future.
I would drive the 4 hours to Indianapolis to go see that team play.
It's only 3. It's only 3 hours. But you do lose an hour. Oh, you're in DeKalb. Yeah.
It's 4 for me because I'm an hour from the city.
Oh, I live in the south suburbs, so you know.
So I would drive the 4 hours to go.
I would watch that. That would be some real entertaining basketball. But in Sacramento, I just think they need something to be a franchise changer, a peace mover, because they've mismanaged everything they've been doing for the last decade and 2 decades, basically since
There you go. Since the year 2000, since the year they got Schmig in the Western Conference Finals.
They literally have not had anything go their way since then, and it's kind of sad to see. But yeah, let us know what you think. Which team do you think needs to win the lottery the most? I've been David Huppin right there, Mr. TJ Hopkins, and you continue checking us out YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. We go live 6 or 7 times a week, bringing the most up-to-date content, including a double dose of the NFL of the Prime Sports World today. After the Suns Mavericks game goes final, we will be talking about the NFL schedule that was released on Thursday. We're going to be looking at the strength of the schedule, and we're going to look at some intriguing matchups going into 2022 in the National Football League.
Pretty much all the significant Week 1 matchups.
And we got Russell Wilson going to Denver in Week 1, or Russell Wilson going to Seattle in Week 1. Funny how that works out, right?
Yeah, you got that. You got return games. You got the holiday game. We
got Bills Rams in Week 1 too.
We got who?
Bills Rams. I think it's Week 1.
Oh damn! And I forgot what team it was. I think it's like some team they call it the Bird Gauntlet. So every team named with a bird, with some kind of bird, that team plays them. It's like the Eagles, the Ravens, the Cardinals, the Eagles. They play that. Like if your team got a bird, you play that. You play the team.
Yeah, the Bills Rams play Week 1 opening night.
Damn.
And the Rams Chargers finally played against each other this season as well in that new stadium, Battle for SoFi. So yeah, that should be a lot of fun. Continue checking us out, Prime Sports World. TJ, what we do here at the Prime, my friends?
We bring the heat.
Yes, sir. And hopefully, Game 7. Hopefully, the second Game 7 we got tonight will be a little more close. Maybe not for Matt James' sakes. Hopefully, for Matt James' sake, the Phoenix just curb stomped Dallas.
I'm taking 77.
I'm taking Dallas too. I'm not betting. I think Luka's been the best player in this series by far, and I'm rolling with the Dallas Mavericks. But yeah, we'll be back here in a couple hours. David Huppin, TJ Hopkins. You all have a good rest of your evening, and be safe out there, and enjoy Game 7 because they're always a lot of fun.
Hey, and on the be safe part, man.
Yeah.
Please, they just announced the curfew.
Yeah, I saw that.
For those that like to hang out at Millennium Park, please be safe. It's a crazy world out there.
100%. I will see you later, TJ. Take it easy, bud.
You too.
Peace, bro.